What's up, everybody? This is Carmine Davis, and you are watching and listening to the Carmine Davis Show. All right. Welcome back, y'all. I love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm so excited to have y'all here. First of all, make sure you guys subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. We didn't have a winner last week for the Carmine Davis Cash Up contest. But this week, I'm feeling lucky. I think I believe, Lord, I think somebody's going to come through and win this week, finally. Make sure you guys subscribe, rate, and review this podcast, rate and review this show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, and make sure you guys comment, and again, rate and review. I'm sorry, I just ate, so I'm a little gassy, but forgive me. I want to get the show out the way and get you guys the hot topics this week, and let's just dive right into it, okay? So, this is from lovebscott.com. Texas State Fair shooting, 3 wounded, suspect in custody. A suspect is in custody after a shooting wounded 3 people in the State Fair of Texas on Saturday night. Dallas police said a suspect was in custody just after 8 p.m. around the same time the State Fair said on social media that the fair park was being evacuated. The suspect, whom police said was arrested after running from the scene of the shooting, was not identified. Outside the fairgrounds, traffic was gridlocked as families tried to find their way back to their vehicles. Clumps of stranded fairgoers waited under the trees and on sidewalks, curbs, as brake lights and police cars flashed. Dallas City Council member Adam Bazoldia, whose district includes Fair Park, said in a post on X that he'd been debriefed on the situation by city manager T.C. Brodnox. Bazaldua said the shooting took place in the food court at the Tower Building and was sparked from a dispute between 2 people who knew each other. Police said 1 man shot another. 3 people were injured, according to Bazudua. Their names were not released. Police said the victims injured weren't considered life-threatening. Everyone involved in the incident has been identified. Police said the officers recovered a gun at the scene. Not far from the fair park, Oscar Marcias was awaiting Baylor University Medical Center at Dallas late Saturday to learn about the condition of a friend who was shot. The victim, a maintenance worker at the fair from the small town of Venezuela as Macias, was shot in the arm, he said. In the immediate aftermath of the shooting, videos posted online showed the chaos unfolding on the fairgrounds as a large number of people ran to seek shelter. Near the Midway, dozens of people ran in panic. These groups were quiet beside the groups was quiet beside someone gesturing behind repeatedly to go anytime the crowd stopped moving. As people ran, some screamed for their children, searching for them. Some people ducked behind rides while others kept moving. The area cleared near the southeastern part of the fairgrounds, where a person thanked those nearby and ushered past hurriedly. Outside the fairgrounds, families with toddlers walked by as children cried. Clara Bishop, 20, said she was holding a friend's phone and bag as her friends got on a UFO ride. Then she started yelling for her friends to get off. The doors closed and a sea of people started running outside the ride. Bishop hid under the ride until her friends came. It was the first time Bishop had been to the fair since she was young. I was on the verge of tears, she said. Juan Reeves, 52, was making a trip to his car to get more turkey legs for one of his Smoky John's barbecue when people started running. Then came messages from some of his more than 40 employers working across 6 stands throughout the park. It was a banner day. Sales were doing great, Reeves said, but all of that came to a screeching halt. All Smoky Johnson and Ruth's Tamale employees were able to evacuate the fair. Reeves said although some were allowed to enter the stands to clean up. Reeves said he was not allowed into the Smoky John's location in the Tower Building. He said 3 employees have already let him know that they will no longer work the stands at the fair because they don't feel safe. This is so disappointing, Reeves said. The fair is one of the best reflections of Dallas. The shooting came a year to the day after a report of a shooting at the fair led to chaos at Fair Park. Police later said there was no shooting, and a fair spokesperson said the pandemonium appeared to be purposely caused by people running through the crowds. The state fair's website says that no weapons are allowed at the fairgrounds, but goes on to say the fair has long allowed fair attendees with valid handgun licenses to carry their handguns in a concealed manner. Visitors to the fair walk through what is known as open gate system instead of metal detectors. DART said its light rail passengers may experience delays because of the shooting. Additional trains have been added to transport riders away from the fair park. Shuttle buses are also available to transport passengers to Pearl Art District Station. Bazuda called the state lawmakers to pass meaningful gun legislation. It's one thing to have right to bear arms. It's another to have legislation like permitless carry that makes it easier. It's one thing to have a right to bear arms. It's another to have legislation like permitless carry that makes it easier for senseless acts of gun violence like this to be carried on in our state fair, he said in his post. Our hearts go to those affected to yet another seamless act of gun violence. Okay, so this is important to me because I have a lot of friends in Dallas. My close friends are in Dallas and in Texas. This is raggedy, all the way around. I feel like we've talked about this on the show so many times. I don't know what it's going to take people to understand that the right to bear arms is raggedy. I think that if you can't have one without the other, so get rid of one and then get rid of the other. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, someone offered to get me a gun. One of my close friends, one of my boos, offered to get me a gun. He was like, I don't feel safe with you running around here being gay and living out loud and all this bullshit and trying to make me feel like I should feel unsafe because I'm queer and I'm out here. You know what I'm saying? So, but in my mind, I'm just sort of like, okay, so what is me, my paranoid ass, having a gun add to the formula of gun violence in the world? A bitch looks at me crazy, I'm going to shoot her. Like, period, point blank. Like, it is what it is. Like, we can't just continue to protect ourselves by adding more guns to the mix, right? So then you get to what happened here in Dallas. My best friend is in Dallas, right? Like, this is someone who I care about damn near more than myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when I hear about these certain things, it gets too close for home. And I know that people out there can agree with me. It's getting crazy. I was supposed to go to the fair tonight with my friends, and then my first instinct was like, girl, you want me to go into public? Like, we live in Cumming. We live in, they live in Cumming. I live in Alpharetta, but we live in Forsyth, the gun-toting capital of Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going nowhere with the motherfuckers. And it shouldn't be this way. It should not be this way. Like, we should not be afraid to go out into the day and into the world because somebody might just... It shouldn't be that way. Like, come on. And why do we not already have... What is it going to take? How many people are going to have to die? How many people are going to have... It's got to be somebody in the White House. I'm not wishing ill on them. The power of the tongue... it's very powerful, especially mine, honey. I'm enchanted, child. I don't know how to explain it. I'm blessed and enchanted. So I got to watch my tongue. But, like, it's got to hit home to those people in the White House for them to understand the gravity of the situation, right? I don't even go to the grocery store no more. I don't go to Publix. I don't go to nothing. I get my shit Instacarted, and I make sure that bitch drops it off outside of my apartment building. Like, you can't trust nobody these days, and it's ridiculous, all because people just don't want to carry out a legislation that should have been going on a long time ago. Put them guns up. Take them. Fuck, you don't need AAR for nothing in this world. You don't need that shit. Cut the shit. Like, we moving on. Prayers to those in Texas. We're gonna move on. You know, I wanted to touch on it. There's a lot going on in Israel. Y'all don't want to talk about that. You know, y'all need to do your research on that. We need to focus on that because it's not too late. You know, it's not too soon before that shit, we be blowing up why are we blowing up each other? It's just ridiculous. It's just too much going on. It's too much violence. It's too much shit going on. Too much self-hatred. Too much hatred in the world. Like, it's just all around ridiculous. And we need to have laws in place where people cannot hurt themselves and hurt other people in the process. Moving on. All right, the next hot topic. Before we move on to the next hot topic, make sure you guys subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Rate and review this show on the visual and the audio format. And you could be eligible to win $20 to $200 on our Carmine's Cash App contest. We have 2 more winners to announce before it's over. So make sure you guys rate and review this podcast, subscribe, follow us on Instagram.com/CARMINE DAVIS, Instagram.com/CARMINE DAVIS Show. You got to follow both of us. Comment on this video or a video in the past. And then you also have to rate and review this podcast in audio format on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, I think it is. And once you do, you're eligible to win $20 to $200. You go onto this wheel, honey, the Wheel of Fortune. And we spin. You hear that at home? That sounds like money. And you win $20 to $200. You have to have a Cash App account that is attached to your name. That has been fucking everyone up. I don't know why the Carmine's Cash App contest does not come with the notion that you might have to have a Cash App account. But we're not going there. We're going to move on to the next hot topic. This one is from LoveyScott.com. Jada Pinkett-Smith claims soulmate Tupac Shakur also had alopecia. Jada Pinkett-Smith isn't just telling her and Will's personal business. She's telling all of Tupac's business too. Okay, the Girls Trip actress who publicly announced that she was diagnosed with alopecia in 2018 revealed that the All Eyes on Me rapper also suffered from the autoimmune disease that causes hair loss. I don't think Tupac ever talked about the alopecia he suffered from, she told People for her cover story Saturday. Pinkett-Smith claimed Shakur's hair loss problems began after police arrested him for jaywalking in Oakland, California in 1991. The iconic rapper later filed a $10 million lawsuit against the officers alleging police brutality. The case was ultimately settled for $42,000. After he was in After he was in Northern California with the police officers that beat him up, he started losing his hair, Pinkett-Smith recalled, and his alopecia patterns were far more extreme than mine. The Red Table Talk host, 52, shared that she believes the Grammy-nominated MC kept his diagnosis under wraps due to the era they were in. I don't think Pac ever talked about his alopecia, but he also looked really good with a bald head, she said. But that was during an era that he just wouldn't talk about it. However, the Set It Off star said she is sure if Shakur, who was shot fatally in 1996, were alive today, he would speak publicly about his condition. Pinkett-Smith has also been candid about her own journey with alopecia, which she said was terrifying when it first started. I was in the shower one day and then just handfuls of my hair was in my hands. It was one of those times in my life that I was literally shaking with fear. The mom of 2 admitted on her Facebook Watch talk show in 2018. Later that year, Pinkett-Smith shared that she was experiencing with little steroid injection to slow down her hair loss. In 2021, the Madagascar voice actor debuted a fresh buzz cut, which was inspired by her 22-year-old daughter, Willow, whom she shares an estranged husband. In 2021, the Madagascar voice actor debuted a fresh buzz cut, which was inspired by the 22-year-old daughter, Willow Smith, whom she shares with estranged husband Willow Smith. Pinkett-Smith's hair became a topic of discussion in 2022 Oscar when host Chris Rock made a joke about the actress's shaved head, which prompted the I Am Legend actor 55 to slap the comedian 58 in the face. Despite the Pinkett-Smith, Despite the Pinkett-Smith's complicated 25-year marriage to Smith, she has also been open about how special her relationship with Shakur was before he died. The pals met in the 80s. The pals met in the 80s while both attended the Baltimore School of the Arts in Maryland. Earlier this week, Pinkett-Smith called the late rapper her soulmate, but said they had no chemistry. I don't know. If there is a such thing as past lives, I definitely think Pac and I have traveled a few together, in various forms, she said during an interview with Rolling Out. There was no chemistry between us, she added. I talk about that in the book, It's the friendship, love chemistry. Trust me. If Pac wanted us to know that, he would have told us that himself. I agree with Love B. Scott. Okay. I'm gonna be real about this whole Jada Pinkett-Smith thing. Like, I am pro-girl, right? I'm a girl's girl. Let that be known. But she is getting out of hand. I just don't know why she just didn't divorce him and move on in silence. Like, I don't know. I get having a platform, right? I have a platform myself. So I do fight the urge to share more than I want to. I get in trouble for it all the time in my personal life. I talk about everything. But now I use it on my Patreon that you can go to at patreon.com/CARMINE DAVIS and hear all my personal business, right? I do share certain things about my life. But to me, in my mind, I wouldn't bring anybody who was dead in it. They can't speak for themselves, and they don't. Most people around me who I really do bring into it, everybody has a platform now. You have an Instagram, you have a Twitter, you have a way to respond to what I'm saying to you, right? However, I just kind of feel like I don't understand her MO. I don't know anymore. I don't know why. One, I don't know why they divorced years ago and never told anybody until this week, right? It's just strange. Then I don't understand why you want us to know that Tupac had alopecia and that y'all were soulmates, but y'all didn't have chemistry. Y'all didn't like each other like that. And then, so why say anything about it? Jada Pinkett-Smith is chaotic as fuck. We talk about this on my show. I'm going to be real, right? I'm going to be real. I don't have the time. She's a creature of chaos. I'm just going to be real. We're going to talk about it. Even with that whole entanglement thing, Jada Pinkett-Smith is a mess. She's a mess. We just have to call it what it is. We respect her as an actress. We respect her as a blacktress, right? But Jada Pinkett-Smith is a messy bitch. She's messy. We got to call it what it is. And child, I know somebody that agrees with me. But before we move on to that, make sure you guys subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. I don't do this for my health. If you subscribe, rate, and review this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music or Apple Podcasts. I'm sorry. I have sidebar. I have a new single out right now that I'm also promoting. I Know What Boys Like on all your streaming platforms right now: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iTunes, YouTube, you name it. I have a single out right now. I'm doing a cover of The Waitresses, I Know What Boys Like. So that's where my brain is a little bit. Music is my first love. Music is my first priority. So if I say Apple Music, that's what I'm thinking. But make sure you guys stream that, and then make sure you guys go on to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and you follow us on Instagram.com/CARMINE DAVIS, Instagram.com/CARMINE DAVIS Show to be eligible for the Carmine's Cash App contest, where you could win $20 to $200. Right? You have to have an active Cash App account with your name on it. And you have to also subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Do all the things. and you can win, right? You'll go on this spin wheel right here. For people at home listening, you hear that? That's money, honey. And then you'll be eligible to win $2,200. Go to CARMINEDAVIS.com/CCC rules or click the link in the description box to learn more about that. Okay, but again, we're going to move on to the next hot topic. I'm not the only one who feels some type of way about Jada Pinkett-Smith's new confession. Stephen A. Smith calls out Jada Pinkett-Smith over the public emasculation of Will Smith. Where's your decency? Again, this is from LoveYouScott.com. Stephen A. Smith doesn't like the fact that Jada Pinkett-Smith is telling all her and estranged husband Will Smith's business, and he thinks it needs to stop. On Friday, the First Take host aired his frustration with Jada on an episode of his eponymous YouTube show. According to Smith, her interviews and statements over the years have continued to destroy her husband's image and reputation. Let me tell y'all what Will Smith does not deserve. He does not deserve what Jada Pinkett-Smith has done to him. He said, now I know people very, very close to Jada Pinkett-Smith, and I am not going to utter a disrespectful word about her. That's not where I'm going. It's deeper than that. He continued, there are a few questions that Jada Pinkett-Smith deserves to be asked to her. Where's your compassion? Where's your decency? Where's your respect for a man you still acknowledge as your husband? Where's your respect for a man you walked down the aisle with and pledged your life to in 1997 for better or worse, for rich or for poor, in sickness and in health, to death do you part? The legendary sports journalist said Jada wasn't honoring her wedding vows with her recent actions and things should have been kept under wraps. Situations such as her fling with August Alsina and claiming she was shocked over the infamous Oscar slap hasn't improved her husband's public image. Somebody's got to say it to Jada plain and simple. Go to the Torah, go to the Bible, go to the Holy Quran, pick whichever you want. He said, let's talk about the role of a wife, at least from the perspective of just sparing him. I'm not getting in the right or wrong. He added, it's none of my business. I know it's uncomfortable and grotesquely unfair to emasculate your husband publicly. Publicly, Will Smith, how much smaller do you want to make him? How could you do this? It's exceeded cruelty. If that weren't enough, Smith also said that whatever Jada does is her business, but talking about that information publicly has stopped because all she's doing is amplifying the heat she's getting from people criticizing her. The public emasculation needs to stop, he said. Jada, all you're doing is elevating the level of vitriol coming your way. Because don't matter what you say. There's nothing you can say to a man to justify what you have done to Will Smith. Every time I see Jada Pinkett-Smith talk about Will Smith, I cringe. We kings, we ain't here like to be treated like that. You can hear what he says on the matter in the description below. Okay, so I didn't like where that turned, but I do kind of understand where he's coming from a little bit. I just kind of feel like I'm all about telling it like it is, right? Like, I get it. I have a whole show based on it. Just the only way we can keep it real. I mean, the only way we can heal is if we keep it real. That's my mantra. You have to say what it is. You got to talk about it, right? But in the process, I think that there is certain accountability that we have to take in ourselves and look at ourselves. And it's starting to give, right? With Jada, it's starting to give very much clout chasing, and I mean, like, I don't know how much Jada Pinkett, what clout does Jada need to chase? You know what I mean? She's Jada Pinkett-Smith. But I do think that Jada Pinkett-Smith does have a career off of, just like I do, keeping it real, you know what I'm saying? Being transparent, being honest to a fault. But at the same time, I am very concerned about the people around me. Although I'm keeping it real, there's so much more that I could say. You know what I'm saying? Like, so maybe that may be the truth to her. I don't know. Now I don't know. After reading this whole Stephen A. Smith thing and how cringe his comment was about it. Ew. Us kings, we want, you need to read the Quran and understand what's right as a woman and as a wife and what her job is. I mean, like, that was really, really cringe. And it's making me think about, like, second guess what I was saying prior. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I just really do wish, you know what it is? I'm going to be completely transparent. I am upset I'm mourning the loss of what I thought, and I think that we all thought Jada Pinkett and Will Smith represented to us. And Jada, in the back of my mind, I always knew that Will Smith and Jada Pinkett were human. I do know that they have a relationship that is flesh and bone. It breaks, it tears, it bleeds, so I always knew that they had problems. I kind of felt like they were keeping a strong front. I kind of felt like they were faking the funk a little bit, but I just wanted to believe that one of the motherfuckers would just die and I would read about it in a tell-all book. I didn't want to be in a world where both of them were existing and one was just telling it like it was about the other one and the other one has to go to work and pretend like his wife is not fucking him in the ass. And not in the way that we'd want to see. Because I would really love to see that. I do feel like Will Smith could take a mean fucking dildo to the ass. Or a mean... I'm not going there. I feel like I already did. But you know what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like oh my God, now I'm hot. I just feel like Will Smith is like the ultimate Hollywood verse, and I want it. I do. I won't lie. Will Smith, if you're swinging like they say you are, call me. You know what I'm saying? Like, Will Smith, I will give you the ride of your life. I just got hot. I'm embarrassed. I need to end the show. I'm embarrassed. I just really, really got hot. And I'm not into the woman with the strap on fucking the man thing. But I didn't think I was until I just said that out loud. Child, I got to go. Oh my God. I gotta go. I'm hot. Oh my God. A new kink has been unlocked in my brain. I gotta go. Leave a comment below if you think that all of this shit is just crazy. You think Jada Pinkett went too far. If you think I went too motherfucking far. I know I went too fucking far. Like... Oh my God. I definitely need to go and I need some time to myself. I love y'all. That is the show. I will talk to y'all next week. Bye, baby. Oh my goodness. Love you. Bye. Woo.